Hi, Jeremy. Thanks for being with me again today. We are doing a follow-up recording from what we just did about XCore, you explaining how you facilitate those, who it's for, what components exist within that program. Today, we're going to explain this in a similar way about Xcelerate. So, Jeremy, set us up. What is Xcelerate?
Yeah, good to be with you, Amy, and everyone here. Excited about this to help you all. Xcelerate, what we did is we built Giant off of leader intensives in the beginning and XCore, and XCore really became our prime product, and it was really for team leaders, as we've talked about. What happened though is the team leaders were like, oh, this is so good, but I'm having a hard time getting it to my team. Can I bring my team? And we're like, ooh, there's another product. Let's call it Xcelerate. It's basically year two. Year one is XCore. Year two is Xcelerate. So imagine a room with 7, 8 round tables and having team leaders with their team sitting around going through a process. That is Xcelerate. Same kind of system, which I'll show you here in a second. But it's really amazing. You can do it in a same way. You can do it in a public environment where you invite public teams of other companies, team leaders from other businesses, or you can do it inside companies. Like tomorrow, I'm on year 2 of Xcelerate with a group because it's so rich and so deep, they just wanted to keep going. So I have 7 different team leaders and their teams of people, their employees, that are going through it. And this is a company of 35 employees. Okay. And so that just gives you some perspective. I think they have 40 now, but still, that's Xcelerate. You can do it inside a company or you can do it with a public group.
Yep. No, that's amazing. And so before you show us a couple of things, one quick clarifying question. So do you typically take the leaders through XCore for that full year as phase 1? And then when they start asking those questions of, can we do this with our teams? And can we invite our teams to this? Is Xcelerate really after the leaders have gone through XCore and they themselves are on that journey to health? Do you kind of pump the brakes on them a little bit if they're pushing, hey, let's roll this out to the team today?
Here's what I'd say. There's no law that says you have to be, ideally you go, yeah, let's start with team leaders and then let's get into teams. But it depends on what the companies need and the organizations need. And I'll also tell you this, the client I'm working with tomorrow and Xcelerate, I've been working with them since 2002. Okay. They love me. They love Giant. They need it. They want it. It's a foundation. They manage money. And they've gone through gears 6 times. We're going through a little bit tomorrow again. This will be their 7th time to go through the gears, and they love it. Every time they go, I learned something new every single time. So that's the beauty of the tools. It's not like one and done, right? So if you think about, is it the chicken or the egg? Do we do Xcelerate first or we do XCore first? I'm like, well, probably XCore and then Xcelerate, but don't let that, if someone wants to start with Xcelerate and back into XCore, great. You've got 2 years of content right there, minimum. Now I've kind of slow played Xcelerate. When I teach, I go with the flow of the room. I'm not predicated based on the slides. The slides don't control me. I am learning, I'm watching and observing what's happening in the room. If we need to focus on one area because there's some gold and we're mining it, stay focused. Don't worry about the content. The content, move it to the next session and then ask them if they want to extend it because we found so much gold. And if it's so good, they're like, oh my gosh, do it. So I've moved Xcelerate. It's a 2-year process in this one team because of how much gold we found and how much they've enjoyed it. That makes sense?
Oh, that makes so much sense. And I love hearing that it really is our main role to read the room, read what the conversations that are happening, the learning, like, do we need to let them sit in it for a little bit longer? And knowing that about our clients, that's really good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So this was an effort from myself, Steve, early, and then Hunter. We put it together with us. So Hunter and I built this, and we're updating another component of this. Actually, I think Hunter's really close. I think he may have already finished some of these little nuances and some of these details. So this is Xcelerate. Okay, so we started last time with Xcore. Xcore had these 6 workshops. It's the same way. They are basically workshops. And what I do is you start with, you don't have to. I didn't with this group. I didn't do an invincibility, the invincibility assessment, or the Team 360 as we used to call it. But I have, and you can. So to do a Team 360 in the beginning or invincible assessment in the beginning is awesome, because if you're doing this with teams, you can then, see their progress through the entire process. The difference is that the team leader is sitting around a table with their team. And I think that's just important to continue to kind of share. So we start with okay, session 1, transforming team communication. Realize that the team leader has already probably gone through 5 voices. He's already gone through training, but their employees haven't. So that's the dynamic that's different. With Xcore, it's a team leader talking to another team leader. And sometimes they whine about their employees. When you bring Xcelerate into it, it's the team leader with their people. They can't hide. There's no, they have to deal with things. So that's the beauty of this. So processing. And so instead of pairs exercises, you're doing table exercises with your teams. And it's just so brilliant because of that. So, hey, welcome to the Xcelerate journey. It's a 12-month intentional process designed to grow you, your team, and your organization. We're going to help you with team health. We're going to help you with team performance. We're going to work around the flywheel. And we start explaining to them the very beginning of what this is. We're going to be talking about teams and how leaders define culture. Then we jump in and go, hey, this first session is transforming team communication. So if you're a guide, if you're watching this, these are half-day workshops. Okay, these are 8 to noon, 1 to 4. They are designed to basically be 3-hour sessions with their teams. The environment you want a place where you can have round tables. It's not good to set them in rows. This is where you need round tables. That's the biggest component. So find a space. It can be in a warehouse. It can be in an auditorium. It can be in a cafeteria. It can be anywhere. You can just get round tables. And a TV. That's all you need, and some coffee. That's it. You don't need anything else. It doesn't have to be a big production. You're just getting them, and you're basically saying, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do 6 workshops a year. Now, in the meantime, here's what you've got in between these. You're giving them team exercises. So there's the team exercises that we have on the platform. The team exercises are then dropped in for them to lead their teams in between. And so that's the great part, is you're teaching them how to do core groups in between your sessions. So there's 6 sessions you lead. There's 6 sessions the team leader leads with the team. I would also, though, leverage this as a coaching, and you can decide how you want to do this. If you want to upcharge even more, but typically it is. Let's talk pricing for a minute. If it's public and private. So let's just say it's private. It's typically $1,500 per team per month. Now, when you go, there's no way a client would pay that, because you look at 1,500 times 7. Well, that's $10,500. A client's not going to pay $10,500 if they're inside. So you basically say, all right, well, I'll do it for $3,000 a month, $5,000 a month, whatever that looks like, right, for this program. Because if you have 7, 8 teams in it, but then if you'll add coaching on top of it, then that's an additional price point. So then you could be coaching the team leader through this entire process. So you could have 7 team leaders you're coaching. You're then leading one Xcelerate group, and they're doing their own core groups in between. Does that make sense, Amy? Is there anything that I need to clarify?
No, I think the only clarification I was going to ask for is that, so, in XCore, it was facilitating a workshop 1 month, leading a core group the next month, facilitating a workshop the next month, and then core group. So it alternated, where it sounds like with this, you've got your every other a month workshop, but it looks like at the bottom there, a core group meeting each month. So you're leading a core group, or is it always you're coaching the leaders to lead those core groups on a monthly basis?
You're coaching the leaders to lead the core group. So yeah. So the core group, it can be each month. Typically it's every other month is that they end up doing it, because this ends up being a core group in and of itself. So you think about that, you go, hey, this is beautiful, because now you're being paid for 6 workshops. That's it. You're being paid 6 workshops at a higher price point than just doing a workshop. And then they're leading their own team leaders. Well, then you have to coach them on how to do that. So adding coaching on top of that. So you could, if you're doing it for a company, you could put coaching as a part of the pricing. You go, look, it's going to be, $6,000, $7,000 a month, and I'll coach your team leaders as a part of that. Or you could go, it's going to be $4,000 a month, $5,000 a month, but if you want me to coach anyone, it'll be an additional $500 a month per person, somewhere like that. So that's the opportunity inside an organization. And then what that looks like, you can kind of see the content. I don't know if you've ever seen the support challenge matrix before. If you've ever heard of the 5 voices, literally we're just taken 5 voices through a team context. So it's just it's the 5 voices. You're teaching that. That's really what you're doing in this first one. So that's what the beauty is. The first one's 5 voices. The second one is maximizing influence, which we've done also in XCore. Then we get into organizational clarity. So this is the difference a little bit for some of you, not really knowing what it is. It's around alignment, and we go through a process of talking about getting people aligned. There's a little bit more team dynamics in here. They're more team oriented conversations. We talk about authority and responsibility. We get into role clarity, but we're really working, and this has been updated. This isn't old, but we're basically working on organizational clarity and vision, mission, values, leadership roles. That's why I had to slow it down, because we spent one entire session on leadership roles, 1 3-hour period on leadership roles. That was it, because that's what they needed. So that's the beauty of this. There's almost too much content, to be honest. So then you get into team performance, how to multiply, how to build strong cultures. It's really gold. So tomorrow I'm on execution. So I'm working on execution with this team, and how do we execute? I'm going to use 5 gears for that a little bit. I'm going to use the X factor. I'm going to talk about authority and responsibility. So that's where I'm going, but that's what Xcelerate is for a private company. And so it's really packaged well for you to go in and just accomplish, have a big impact.
Yeah. No, that's really good. So you gave us a ton of clarity with, XCore versus Xcelerate. So XCore being that really for those team leaders, it's a group of team leaders, whether it's a public or private group of team leaders. And then Xcelerate is that second next phase of pulling in their teams. And so that can be also public and private, and public and private really determines, or the variables are what you're charging typically per person or per team. And then also, as far as how to get it all started and how to facilitate it, how to bring everybody together, those round tables being really instrumental in conversation generation and all of those things. So my next question for you is, what should guides be doing to get ready if they feel like this is a program that is right for them and their clients?
Yep.
Do you recommend the 5 Voices certification ahead of time, the 100X Leader certification ahead of time, because it is really a combination of the two plus a handful of other things? Is that correct?
Yeah, you'll have to know 5 Voices, obviously, 100X for sure, because there's so much on culture and teams. Those two should cover most of it. The only one that it doesn't is really maximizing influence, I think, because most of it's all around the flywheel. By the way, Accelerate is the flywheel, maximizing team performance. We just took the flywheel apart and made those programs for teams. So you're going to go through communication, then relationship, then alignment, then execution, then capacity, and then culture at the end. So the maximizing influence is simply understanding the influence model really well with 5 Voices, but you can, it's easy to follow. You can figure it out. If you know 5 Voices well, it's easy. So what you do is, so let's go to public for a second and let me show you how this works. So private, you get it, it's a retainer, right? It's a great way for a company though to see value and to help them organize in a way that just, it's easy because it's like, they see it all. Oh, okay, this is our roadmap. Accelerate gives you a roadmap, and so it's easy to sell that roadmap. Once they experience it, they usually go, well, next time we want more teams in, and then we want the next round and the next round. And so you could be doing Accelerate with one group and Xcore with another group. And so it's a really cool way to expand inside teams. But if you're in a market, or if you want to do it for public, Jay Sampson is probably the best I know in the guide community. I helped him build Xcore and then build Accelerate out and to help him in his world. So he's doing Oklahoma City and he's going after Tulsa, Accelerate this in 2023. So the way it works, in his words, he goes, oh my gosh, it's so much easier to sell a team of people versus individuals. So selling individuals at 500 to 750 a month versus selling a team of people at 1,500 to 2,000 a month. So he's going after $2,000 a month goal. And so the way he's done, this is his list right here. It's hard to see, but that's his list of teams. Okay. So he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. He's got 18 teams to get 8 in. So he's basically going after 8 teams. And the 8 teams, let me show you the math on this. The 8 teams take 8 times $2,000, $16,000 a month is what he's then going after earning. Then he wants me to be a part of it. So he's going to pay me a little bit to speak. He'll have some coffee, but he decided he's going to rotate the public to the companies are going to host it. So if you're a company, they want to show off what they do. It's almost marketing and advertising. Yeah. So then they rotate through and host it at different places each time. Yeah. Brilliant. That's awesome. So now they're going to take care of coffee. They're going to take care of, there's no rental of a location fee. So it's just a really, really low key. All you need is round tables, chairs, coffee, and some water. Yeah. And that's the simple approach, right? But by getting those, we've done this several times. You have, it's really great because then you have teams setting at tables. There are actually companies setting at different tables. So imagine 7 to 8 different tables, all representing different companies' teams. And those teams can be a lower level team on one side. Another smaller company might have their entire executive team. It doesn't matter because they don't interact a whole lot. Every once in a while we'll break up and have, hey, if you're a pioneer, everyone go talk to the pioneers. If you're a nurturer, go talk to the nurturers. We'll do some of that. Sure. But for the most part, you're sitting at your tables and you're having table discussions and table exercises. And that's the beauty of Accelerate.
No, That's so good. My brain's even thinking of people, of organizations that I've already done 5 voices with and things like that, that is probably ready for an XCore or an Xcelerate or something like that. And you just mapped that out really beautifully. So, guides, when you're listening to this, if you're thinking through that your ideal client that you're trying to target has teams in it, or you want to go after, like Jay Samps was doing, is those multiple teams, right? What you start to think about is like, okay, what are we trying to solve with this? Which Jeremie already said, you do the entire flywheel. So you're solving for communication, relational trust, alignment, execution, and capacity. You're looking to improve on all of those within this program. Is that correct, Jeremie?
That's right. Yeah, it's team performance.
Yeah.
It's increasing team performance.
Any symptom that they're throwing at you, an underlying problem that exists, this program will touch on it at some point. And so that's really good. Now, when you're going to look on the operating system to set up an offer, again, same as at XCore, is that it would probably be under consulting. You would go to custom consulting, set up your offer. Now, if it is including altitude training, if altitude training is going to be an element of it, you do need to set up an offer through altitude training so they have access to those licenses to be inviting their people to altitude training. Did you have something to add to that?
Yeah, I would say in that case, I would for sure have the team leaders go through altitude training through this entire process. It'll just make them stronger. It'll equip them with tools. Some people have asked, okay, can we have my team go through it? And we're great, sure, because they're trying to raise up their team. If they want to invest that, then absolutely have their team go through it. That's an add-on. You might throw in altitude training in the cost of the $2,000 a month for the team leader, and so that basically gives them one altitude training. It gives them the invincible assessment. Then they go through the rest of it. If they want to add coaching, then you could add that. You could either add it in or you could upcharge it. It's up to you.
Yeah.
And if they want to add people to altitude training as well, that's an upcharge.
That's great. And I always love throwing those 5 Voices Pro results in there as well.
Oh yeah, that's exactly right.
5 Voices Pro results are easy to sell in my experience. People really like those and they want to add value to their teams. So I always add that in. It's good. Any last thoughts, Jeremie? That was really good.
No, it's just, we're giving some basics that you can have ingenuity on. The thing that you want to do is practice it. Try it one time. You'll figure it out. Reach out to Jay Sampson. Ask. You can ask others who've done Xcelerate. It was one of those situations where those who've done it swear by it. Dan Fry. Others are like, oh my gosh, it works. It's so amazing. I don't want to go back. I think Maria Guy, a lot of people have built your business. So when you start thinking about, you get 2 Xcelerates going, if you could charge 2,000, let's say you charge 1,500, you're talking about 30,000 a month, 2 groups of 8. You think about your take home and all that, it's a significant business builder. Now you have to work hard, but you can actually sell teams, people who want to get teams better.
Yeah.
Their executive team, a key team in their organization, and they try it out. And what will tend to happen is they'll come to one public event and then they'll go, we want to bring this inside. One last thing I'd tell you is that out of Jay Sampson's first Xcelerate he did, we did this before COVID, maybe 18. He has 3 ongoing retainers still from those groups. So out of the 8 that were in that first, I think he had 7 teams in that first cohort, 3 out of 7 are now retainers with him.
That's awesome.
Continued.
Yeah.
So you think about the value, what's the return on investment for this?
Right.
It's a significant business builder.
That's awesome. That's exactly what we wanted to hear as far as Xcelerate goes, and where that fits into the giant world and the ecosystem, where to find these kinds of things, and how to leverage it. I appreciate it, Jeremie.
Got it. Thanks, Amy. See you guys.
Yep.
Cheers.
Yep.